doctor stood silently inside the hospital room before finally saying the words no one ever wants to hear. The cancer had spread through my entire body, and because of the surgery, I could never become a man again. But strangely, I didn't feel angry. Instead, I started laughing like a madman, because the moment I held that talisman my wife once gave me, I realized something. For a disgusting monster like me, dying powerless was probably the greatest punishment imaginable. Maybe this was the only way her soul could finally find peace. But then, the moment I opened my eyes, everything had changed. The hospital was gone. The unbearable pain had disappeared, and in front of me stood that old, dusty house with the faded wedding dress still hanging beside the window. I froze. There was no way. I had returned to the past. I rushed through the house like a madman, desperately searching for her. And then I saw her, my wife. She was sitting quietly beside the clay stove, curled up into herself. Those big, beautiful eyes, the eyes that once carried dreams, had now turned lifeless. Dark bruises covered her body, the same bruises I had given her with my own cruelty after so many years. Seeing the heartbeat of my soul sitting right in front of me made my throat tighten. I instantly pulled her into my arms and broke down crying like a child. Thousands of apologies filled my heart, but my lips refused to move, because in my previous life, there wasn't a single sin I hadn't committed against her. I pushed her into the dam just so the villagers would see her half naked, forcing her into a marriage with me. And after marriage, I never even let her live a single peaceful day. But what happens next completely shattered me. Her quiet sobbing suddenly pulled me back to reality, and then I remembered. Today was that day. The day she had borrowed money from her parents to buy milk powder for our baby, and I stole that money and wasted it on alcohol. Not only that, drunk out of my mind, I had tortured her the entire night. The memory disgusted me so much that I started slapping myself again and again without stopping. 1 slap, 2 slaps, 10, maybe 12. Blood started dripping from my elbow after I crashed into the wall, but she just sat there silently watching me. There was no concern in her eyes, only hatred, only disgust. To her, this probably looked like the same old drama. Beat her at night, then beg for forgiveness in the morning. And then, the sound of a baby crying echoed through the room. My little daughter. She was starving. My wife hurriedly picked her up despite barely being able to stand. But how could milk come from a body that had been suffering for so long? The baby started crying even harder. At that moment, it felt like my heart was being torn apart. Without wasting another second, I ran outside and headed straight toward old Huang's shop. My face was swollen beyond recognition, but without asking a single question, the old man quietly handed me milk powder on credit. I grabbed it and sprinted back home. But the moment I saw my wife's frightened face again, that unbearable pain returned to my chest once more.